Hello everyone, today we continue learning Python and today I'll show you why you should never use slashes in Python. So let's start. But before we start that video, I recommend you subscribing to my Telegram channel. You will find lots of materials, modules, libraries, examples and tasks on Python in my Telegram channel. Also, I post all the announcements there, so if you want to understand what will happen to the channel in the near future, you can go here. And I respond to comments much faster than I do it on YouTube. So subscribe to my Telegram channel, link in the description down below. Let's imagine a program where you have to deal with files, so with file system. And what do I have here? I have venv, for example venv and pyenv.config file. That's a simple file and let's open it with Python. So what you will typically do? With open, or you can, if you don't understand context manager, so context manager is with something as a variable with open as file, it will just open and close file, and it's much better to use that method instead of just file equals open and so on, but I'll make another video on context managers. For now, let's open that pyenv.config file, or let's open scripts.activateBat. It actually doesn't matter what file do we open. What matters is how we open that file. So let's put a path in here. So in our case, it's venv. My PyCharm helps me with that, venv scripts, and then, for example, activate.bat file. So again, it doesn't matter what file do you open. It matters how we open that file. What matters? And let's use write method to write something in that file, or let's use read because I don't want to break my activate file somehow. Okay, so now we just open the file and everything seems to work fine. Let's print file dot, for example, file dot name, I don't know, and let's run our main2.py file. Okay, let's run it, and as you can see, everything is alright. So we have name, which is venv scripts activate.bat. Let's open errors, file.errors, and strict. Oh yeah, because what does it mean? Errors is how you handle your errors in Python files. For example, if you can't read something, then you will raise an exception if the error is strict. That's what I meant, but I forgot about that, and I thought that it would give us a list of errors like in Python validator or some. Don't listen to me, but just remember that if you use file.errors, that means that you receive a string on how your Python file handles these errors, and you can provide them when you open the file, but I'll talk about that later. So with strict, we raise an exception. Okay, so file dot, I don't actually know what to open to show you that everything is alright. So readline, for example, yeah, file readline. Let's run that, and as you can see, h off. Yeah, because activate bat file, let's go right here. It's just a file to help us to activate our virtual environment in Python. As you can see, the first line is h off, so everything works alright. And that's great. That's actually very great. So now what I want to do, I want to transfer my program to the Linux, so I am on Windows now. And if I want to transfer my program to the Linux, it should work alright, because it works alright on my Windows program, on my Windows machine. But what is the difference between Windows and Linux? The difference is that slash. Because in different systems, we use different slashes. So in macOS, for example, we can use that slash, and we need to change all of the slashes in our program. In Windows, we can use that slash, for example, or in, I don't know, in Mac OS, we can use, for example, or in just my OS or in any OS, we can use different slashes. That's what I mean. We can use different separators for our folder file structure. And that is where our program breaks. So what is the difference? If I'll try to run my program on Linux with these slashes, it will probably break. I don't know if it will break. No, it won't break on Windows, but in some systems it may break. And that's why it's not recommended, or actually it should be prohibited, to use slashes in Python. Of course, it's a joke because you sometimes want to use a slash as just a slash sign in string. You can use it in regular expressions and so somewhere else. But in path, when you use paths, when you use directories and files, you should not put slashes. But what we should do? Well, actually we have OS module in Python, so let's import OS, But OS module will not help us because OS module has a sub-module called path. So you can use from OS import path, but actually I prefer using just import OS and then providing os.path and so on, but it's up to you. And what is that module is all about? Module, and as you can see what it says, nt-path, common operations on path names. So as you can see, module, not just path, but nt-path. What does it mean? That means that when I installed my Python decided, okay, that's a Windows system. And because of that, I need to install not just path for Linux, for macOS, but I need to install path for NT, so for Windows. WinNT, Win95 path names. And as you can see, everything is alright. And what is that? Instead of importing this module directly, import OS and refer, yes, because we have NT path, Linux path, and so on, but these are not like real names, but you get what I'm saying. We have different modules for different operating systems, and Python decides which module to import when we use that statement. And what do we have here? We have lots of functions, and you can read about all of them. I'll show you 2 or 3 functions today, because mainly I use 2 or 3 functions, because others are not like I don't use them very often, because like they are really specific. So let's go right here, and what we see a bunch of variables. So what is the third variable? Cardir. So it's our current directory, and if you know Windows, you know that have cd command. So cd command helps us to change the directory, and if I write cd dot, I'll get the directory I'm in right now. So let's write it, and it prints nothing because of my PyCharm, but actually it should print like I'm in my current directory. In Linux it's the same, so nothing is changed here. Perdir, parent directory. If I write cd dot dot, as you can see now I'm in test, but if I write cd dot dot, I'm just in my PyCharm project. If I write cd test again, I'll go to my test directory again. So cd helps you to change the directories, and if you want to get the directory you're in right now, you need to use dot. But if you want to go to the parent directory, you need to use dot dot. Okay, extsep. Actually, I think that's extension sep. I have never used it, but it's what I mean. All of these variables are different for specific systems. And as you can see, we have sep, we have pass sep, we have alt sep. So pass sep is when you provide 2 passes, for example, like a.txt, then l.txt, like that. So that's pass separator. Then we have separator, which is default separator for our Windows system. And as you can see, it's double slash, because if I will put 1 slash, it will break my program, because it will just think that something is not alright, because you know, like /n, /t, and so on. But if I put 2 slashes, as you can see here, we have 1, because if you put 2 slashes in Python, 2 of these slashes in Python, you'll get 1 as a result. Okay, I think you know that, but I just forgot the word, how you properly call it. So I think you understand me. Okay, then we have pass sep and we have alt sep. Because of that, I'm able to use these things. But if my system does not have alt sep, and I somehow manage to put slashes that are not supported in my system, for example, these slashes may not be supported in Linux, it will raise an exception, because my file will not be found, and yeah, something will not be alright. Divpass and devnull, I actually have never used them, but as you can see, it's just binary directory, and devnull, it's just somehow now directory or development now directory, I don't know. But what matters is that you need to use these variables. And if you want to put separators for your program, what you can do is use fstring and insert. If you don't know about fstrings, you just insert variables and any Python code inside of a string. So let's put these curly brackets and path dot sep. Let's run it again, and as you can see, everything works right, because we don't receive an exception. And that is much better than using row slashes, because if I run my program on Linux, I will import not NT path, but Linux path. If I run my program on macOS, I will import macOS path module. And variables in here will be different, and because of that, variables in here will be different, and they will suit the system I'm using right now. I will use with my program. I think you understand what I mean. But actually, that's not the best way to do it. It's the best way when you just need the separator, or you need like mm, defined path, you need alt separator, you need, I don't know, current directory, pair directory to, for example, use cd in your Python project. But actually, if you want to join paths together, so you want to join venv scripts and activate bat directories and files together, what you can do is use os.path.join function. So let's call it path.join. And what is that function? I'll show you in a minute. Let's put scripts and let's put activate bat. Like that, let's close the parentheses, and as you can see, our code is much cleaner right now. So what are we doing right here? Path join function is the function that helps you to join paths together, that join directories and folders together. So what I'm doing right now, let's go right here, and as you can see, path, we have as path, so we just get the path, then if is instance, okay, that function is pretty big, but what it does, let's copy that and let's print it right here, and you'll understand like in a minute. As you can see, we have script activate bat. So we just join directories together using separators for our systems. Actually, that's it. That's a pretty simple function, and it's better to use that instead of hard-coded or path separator slashes, because it's just cleaner. Everybody understands it. That function joins directories together, and that's how you should write your Python code. Because if you write a code for the specific system, of course, if you use Qt, for example, Qt framework for Windows, that framework cannot be run on Linux, for example, on macOS or on Android. So if you use a library that is, and you're writing a program that is specific for the system, then of course you can use slashes, but again, it's not recommended because path join is much better. And I think that's it. That's everything I wanted to tell you today. So path has a lot of functions. Let's go right here. As you can see, in all variable, norm case, is abs, for example, is absolute path, dir name, so the directory name, split, split text, split drive, is link, exists. So exists is another great function. So if we have our file, exists returns true. But if we don't have that file, exist returns false. So let's go right here. And how we can use exist is path.exists from path join. We can provide a simple string, but path join returns a string of our file, and let's run it down. As you can see, true, because we have our activate bat file. But if I put like that, it will return false. So that function is really great. So exists is just os_stat. os_stat opens a file. It opens a file, and if that file returns OS error, as you can see, if we cannot find that file, if we cannot access that file, we will return false. But otherwise, we will return true. There are lots of, for example, if file decide if that's a folder or a file. So there are lots of useful isdir, get size, and so on. There are lots of useful functions inside of that OS path module. And if you want to deal with directories and folders and these things in Python, then it's better for you to use path module, which is provided by default. So I think you understand now that you don't need to hardcode slash, or you actually don't need to use slash at all for the directories, folders, and so on. And yeah, actually that's it. Thank you for watching, and good luck.